All right, let's get right into it. Have you been staring at your website's analytics lately, just watching the numbers drop and feeling that pit in your stomach? If so, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to break down Google's absolutely massive July 2025 update and what it actually means for you. Does this sound familiar? You log in to check your traffic, and it's like a huge chunk of your audience just vanished. Poof, gone overnight. You're hitting refresh, you're checking the dates, but the numbers are what they are. You're probably thinking, what in the world just happened?
Well, let me just tell you right now, you are not imagining things. You're not going crazy. Google just dropped one of the biggest core updates we've seen in years. And yeah, it completely rewrote the rulebook for how search works.
So, what are these new rules exactly? Honestly, it all kind of boils down to four huge shifts that are changing the entire game. If you can get your head around these, you'll be well on your way. So let's break them down. First, and this one is a really big deal. Helpful content is no longer just a friendly suggestion from Google, it is now absolutely mandatory. They're not looking for pages that are just stuffed with the right keywords anymore. They want content that actually, helps a real person solve a real problem. And if your site fails that test, oof, the penalty is harsh. The data shows that sites with what Google calls thin or unhelpful content saw their traffic absolutely nosedive, in some cases by as much as 40%. 40%. Okay, the second big shift is all about AI. You know how for the last year or so it's kind of been the Wild West with AI-generated content? Well, the sheriff is officially in town. Google is now putting all that AI content under a very powerful microscope. Which brings us to this critical new idea of human oversight. Put simply, you can't just type a prompt, copy-paste, and call it a day anymore. That's a one-way ticket to the bottom of the rankings. Google wants to see that a human was involved, editing, fact-checking, adding some unique flavor. All right, number 3. And if you run any kind of local brick-and-mortar business, you need to listen up. Local search just got a complete makeover. The way people find your coffee shop, your hair salon, your dental practice, it has fundamentally changed. So what matters now? Well, proximity. How close you are to the person searching is more important than ever. But right behind that are your reviews, not just how many you have, but how good they are. And this is crucial, the consistency of your name, address, and phone number across the entire internet has to be perfect. And finally, number 4. Let's talk about what's going on under the hood of your website. The technical stuff that maybe used to feel like an advanced topic. Well, it's now a basic requirement. These technical signals are completely non-negotiable now. Specifically, Google is laser-focused on 3 things. First, Core Web Vitals, which is just a fancy way of saying, is your site fast and stable? Second, the mobile experience. Is it easy and pleasant to use on a phone? And third, Structured Data, which is like a secret code that helps you tell Google exactly what your content is about. If you get these wrong, you're starting the race with your shoes tied together. Okay, so those are the new rules. But what about the scoreboard? What did this update actually do to real websites out there? Let's look at the data and see who came out on top and who got left behind. Because really, this is the only question that matters, isn't it? It's one thing to talk about algorithms, but it's another thing entirely to see the real-world impact on traffic. And let me tell you, the numbers, they tell a pretty dramatic story. I mean, just look at this. It's a tale of 2 completely different worlds. On the left, you've got the sites that were professionally managed for these changes. Boom, they saw a 22% increase in traffic. But all the way on the right, sites with no real strategy took a devastating 42% hit. Wow. And when we break it down even more, you see the full picture. It wasn't just winners and losers. The high-quality sites with expert management saw that awesome 22% lift. But look, even sites with good content but weak technical SEO still saw a 5% drop. The sites that relied too heavily on AI without that human touch, down 28%. And the worst-case scenario, no strategy at all, a 42% free fall. So it's pretty clear some people are celebrating right now and others are not. So the obvious next question is, how do you get on the winning side of this? How do you navigate this totally new digital world? When you look at those numbers we just saw, it's not a big mystery. The data draws an incredibly bright, clear line in the sand between the strategies that fueled growth and the ones that led to a painful decline. And this is that dividing line right here. It's the difference between having a specialist guide you through these changes versus trying to figure it all out on your own. We're talking about a 22% gain on one side versus a potential 42% loss on the other. That massive gap isn't just clicks. That's revenue, that's customers, that's your brand's visibility.
All of this data really just points to one unavoidable conclusion. In this more complicated environment, having an expert strategy isn't a luxury anymore. It has become an absolutely critical part of success online.
So, what does that specialist's edge really mean? Well, it's about making sure those four key areas are covered. It's having the agility to adapt to Google's constant changes. It's providing that crucial human oversight on AI content. It's knowing all the new rules for local search. And, of course, it's having the technical expertise to make sure your website is a well-oiled machine. Ultimately, what this all comes down to is protecting your investment. Your website is a massive asset for your business, right? And in this new climate, protecting and growing that asset means you need a dedicated, expert approach. I mean, the numbers we've seen today pretty much speak for themselves. And that really just leaves us with one final, crucial question that you have to ask yourself. The rules have changed. The entire landscape has been redrawn. Is your digital strategy actually built to compete and win today? Or is it still playing by a rule book that's now officially out of date?